What is going on, guys? I am Matt O'Leary, back with another video. Today I want to talk about Joe Douglas's press conference. He spoke with the media, and there was something interesting that stood out to me that I wanted to talk about today. Yeah, he talked about, how excited he is that Aaron Rodgers is here, and he asks himself 5 or 6 times a day. He's like, "Oh, I can't believe Aaron Rodgers is here." And granted, to be fair, I feel the exact same way, even as a fan. But really, the thing that stuck out to me that I think is the most noteworthy. Forget expectations. We know expectations are high. We know he's excited about expectations being high. But it was when he was asked about the potential of an in-season trade. He said, "You just have to be ready when the opportunity comes. We've got great flexibility if that presents itself." And he's 100% right. That's really what the Aaron Rodgers contract restructure allowed for. There wasn't really a ton out there on the market, or like right after the restructure. They had Dalvin Cook, but they still have a ton of cap space left. Even after Corey Davis retires, it's close to like $20 million in cap space. So the Jets, he's 1000% right. The Jets do have the flexibility if an in-trade season presents itself. In my opinion, the most obvious position that the New York Jets could be looking to acquire is wide receiver. Corey Davis retiring or stepping away from football, maybe that's the better way of putting it, opened up an opportunity for the New York Jets to add at the position. Right now, they kept 3 young guys, which is fine. I'm happy for them. I'm rooting for them. And Xavier Gibson, Jason Brownlee, Irv Charles. All 3 of those guys made the roster. The Jets currently carrying 7 wide receivers. That comes as a little bit of a surprise, and maybe that ends up changing and it becomes a little bit more flexible. But I think wide receiver would be the most obvious choice for where the Jets would be looking to add. And names that are going to come up and that probably make a little bit of sense: Devonte Adams, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like guys on teams who are not projected to be very good. Hollywood Brown's another one. The Darnell Mooney rumors were kind of put to bed and didn't really know how realistic it was to land him, even though I would have liked that one a lot. Hunter Renfrow even potentially, but the ones that stick, the 2 names that I would put above all the rest is Mike Evans and Devonte Adams. And Devonte Adams already has that Aaron Rodgers connection. They spent a ton of time together in Green Bay. He loves Devonte Adams, and I would love to have Devonte Adams on this team if it's something that you could make happen, because again, the Jets going into this next offseason coming up in 2024, they don't have their first or second round pick technically to play with right now, even though it will more than likely be a first round pick going to Green Bay. They might have to get creative if they were to trade for somebody and put a conditional on it where, it's this round. If this happens, it could be bumped up to a second round if the first rounder ends up going to Green Bay, which I think is more than likely. And they have the flexibility for it in terms of cap. And with how they drafted, they now have the ability to be okay moving on from draft picks. And I know people love draft picks. Absolutely love draft picks, and I get it, especially when you're trying to rebuild. It's all about the draft picks. They had a ton of picks in 2020, 21, 22, multiple first rounders, all this stuff. Really, the 22 class allows Joe Douglas to say, our roster's at a point where I am comfortable moving draft assets and not spending it on a player who might help you, anywhere between 1 and 3 years down the line. I'm going to move a pick, or I'm going to move multiple picks for veterans. You did that with Aaron Rodgers, and now you're in a position to where you're competing in a championship window over the next 3 years. If you're taking a second round, mid-round pick, whatever, and flipping it for what could probably be a wide receiver too, I think you do it because, again, like I love, let's think of some second round. I love Joe Tippmann. That's one that jumps out. I love Breece Hall, a couple who were drafted in the second round over the last couple of years, but you throw in Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, and you go even way further back. The history. Jets second rounders haven't really done that well, and it's not always a guarantee that your second round pick. Hell, it's not even a guarantee that your first round pick is going to pan out and do well. So I get it. I understand why so many people love to prospect hug or love to just hold on to the draft capital. But it is a lottery ticket, and again, when you are right now, the Arizona Cardinals, the Houston Texans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up, like that's the time where you want to really recoup, draft assets and go for it in the draft. And I'm not saying you have to be the polar opposite and go just full Rams where you don't take a first round pick for like a decade almost. I'm not saying you go to that extreme, but it's okay. The Jets are in a spot now where they can move some of their draft assets. They don't need to be taking 7, 8, 9, 10 guys in a draft class anymore. You could just get by if you're taking 5 guys and you are flipping a couple picks for a veteran. And I'm not saying, again, you don't do that every single year, but in this window of opportunity, you could do that a little bit. You can get creative and do it. So I just thought that was worthwhile to point out because I think Joe Douglas is on the same page that if an opportunity presents itself, they'll get aggressive. Let me know your thoughts on Joe Douglas's comments and if you are in on a mid-season trade, a trade deadline trade. I think that is something that will be on the table. Let me know. Sound off below. Please subscribe if you're new. Give the video a like. It's a free way to help support the channel. Really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.